Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the statement that Lori Vallow made at her sentencing on July 31, 2023? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing by this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I will offer a brief background on the case against Lori Vallow, move to a summary of her statement made at sentencing, then offer my analysis. Lori Vallow was born in 1973 in California. By 2005, Lori had been married and divorced 3 times. She had a son named Colby with her second husband in 1996 and a daughter named Ty Lee with her third husband in 2002. In 2006, Lori married for a 4th time. Her husband was named Charles Vallow. In 2013, the couple adopted J.J. Vallow, the grandnephew of Charles. At this point, Lori was caring for 2 children, Ty Lee and J.J. Sometime around 2015, Lori became obsessed with a man named Chad Daybell. He self-published books about the apocalypse, which reflected his extreme interpretation of his beliefs as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or LDS. Lori and Chad met in person in 2018. They developed a strong connection. Chad told Lori that they had been married during previous lifetimes and claimed that he had the ability to determine if people were on the side of Jesus or Satan. He labeled them light and dark, respectively. It appeared as though Chad inspired several delusions in Lori. This was followed by many strange occurrences in 2019, like people no longer remaining alive. For example, in July of 2019, Charles Vallow was killed in Arizona by Lori's brother, Alex Cox. In September of 2019, Lori moved with her children and her brother to Idaho, where Chad Daybell lived. Ty Lee and JJ went missing not long after this. Their remains were discovered in 2020 behind Chad's home. In October 2019, the month after Lori moved to Idaho, Chad's wife, Tammy Daybell, was found dead. Lori and Chad were married in Hawaii in November, and Lori's brother, Alex, died of natural causes in December of 2019. Of the 5 people connected to Lori Vallow who died between July and December of 2019, 4 are thought to have been murdered. Lori and Chad were charged in Idaho with various offenses connected to the deaths of Tammy, Ty Lee, and JJ, including first-degree murder and conspiracy. Lori was also charged with 1 count in Arizona of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Lori Vallow went to trial in Idaho, and on May 12, 2023, was found guilty of all charges. On July 31, 2023, Lori was sentenced to 3 consecutive terms of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now moving to the summary of Lori's statement at sentencing. Prior to being sentenced to life in prison, Lori read a bizarre, insensitive, and grandiose statement, which was just over 1,700 words. I will summarize it here. Most of this is paraphrased. I have changed the order of some of the items so that the narrative makes more sense. Lori started by quoting the New Testament. She said, quote, "He that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone at her," unquote, and, quote, "Ye judge after the flesh, I judge no man, and yet if I judge, my judgment is true," unquote. Lori said that Jesus understands her, and she mourns her children and Tammy, just like other people are mourning. She then talked about how Jesus knows the truth, which is that no one was murdered in this case. People die for many reasons: accidents, they may bring an end to their own lives, and medications can cause fatal side effects. Lori then offered a story about how her life perspective changed in 2002. She claimed that she died in the hospital while giving birth to Ty Lee. Lori felt her own spirit falling to the floor. She was standing next to her body, watching physicians try to revive her. During this out-of-body experience, Lori had a conversation with her sister, who was a spirit. Her sister told Lori that she needed to show her some things, and they visited heaven. That must have been an awkward conversation between Lori and her sister. I picture her sister coming up and saying, "Hey, I know you have a lot going on with the whole dying situation in the hospital, but while you have a few minutes on your hands, I got to show you some stuff." Now continuing with Lori's story, Lori did not want to come back when she was having her out-of-body experience. She was happy and peaceful. Jesus talked to Lori and told her that she needed to go back to complete tasks that she promised to perform. Evidently, she made these commitments prior to her birth. Lori was very distressed because she knew heaven was a real home. There she was free of physical and emotional pain. Jesus showed her how she would help her children and others in the future, which ultimately convinced her to return to her body, like her work was not done on earth. Lori claimed that she did not fear death. Rather, she looked forward to it because heaven was more wonderful than people could imagine. Due to the out-of-body family reunion, Lori now has access to heaven and the spirit world. Many people living in heaven have communicated with her, including Lori's sisters, aunts, uncles, grandparents, children, her heavenly parents, and Jesus Christ. Due to all these spirits talking to her, Lori knows for a fact that her children are happy and busy in the spirit world. She also knows that Tammy Daybell is very happy and extremely busy. It's not clear why the children are busy and Tammy is extremely busy. Maybe some type of heavenly child labor law is in place. It's not clear. Lori knows how wonderful heaven is, and she is homesick for it every day. She believes that everyone lived in heaven before they were born on earth. People were adult spirits in the heavenly realm and chose to come to earth as mortals. On one occasion, when Tylee visited Lori from the spirit world, Tylee said that she was fine and commanded Lori to stop worrying. Tylee knew how much Lori missed her. Lori talked about how Tylee was free of all the pains that she had in her life. During Tylee's life, she had pain every day, screamed in pain frequently, and had a body that did not work right. Lori wondered if Tylee had these problems because Lori died while Tylee was born. Lori cared for her and was the only person who knew how much Tylee suffered in her life. She tried to protect Tylee and worried about her every day. No one else knew about Tylee's suffering because she put on a good front and she knew that there was an eternal purpose to being on earth. Lori then talked about how JJ visited her. He put his arm around her and said, quote, "You didn't do anything wrong, Mom. I love you, and I know you loved me every minute of my life," unquote. JJ was a busy adult spirit who was very, very tall. He was happy being in heaven. His life on earth was short, but meaningful. Lori then talked about her third murder victim, Tammy Daybell, claiming that Tammy also visited her from beyond the grave to bring her peace and comfort. Tammy was extremely busy helping her children and grandchildren. Lori concluded her peculiar speech by talking about how Tylee, JJ, and Tammy were resting safely in the arms of Jesus, and that Lori looked forward to resting as well and being reunited with them. So, being reunited with her murder victims. Now moving to my analysis. First, I'll look at the potential delusional beliefs of Lori Vallow, because it appears as though they are connected to her speech. Then I'll analyze the speech itself. Here are just a few of Lori's beliefs that may be delusional. Lori lived 21 different lives on various Earth-like planets. Chad lived 31 lives. They had been married in 7 of the previous lifetimes. Lori believed that evil spirits attached themselves to people. Demon-possessed individuals are essentially robots manipulated by demons. The demons can only be fought using spiritual weapons. Chad had predicted the apocalypse. He had a magical ability to examine the past lives of people and determine if they were light or dark in those incarnations. If they were light, they belonged to the 144,000, the group of believers referenced in the book of Revelation. If they were dark, they were followers of Satan. Lori believed that she was an immortal deity, and in a previous life, she was married to an important LDS prophet. Her job was to lead the 144,000 into the millennium. Lori received spiritual revelations and visions to help her prepare the chosen to live in the New Jerusalem after the Great War. It sounds like her job was really checking the credentials of these people. It was like she was inspecting people to make sure that they really belonged in that special group. It's almost like Lori Vallow was running an apocalyptic version of the TSA. Nothing is more frustrating than having to remove one's belt and shoes before getting on a plane to escape the end of the world. Now moving to my analysis of the speech itself. What was Lori Vallow trying to communicate in her speech? This is just a theory, my opinion. I think this speech may have been Lori's way of justifying killing her 3 victims. Lori never confessed to the murders. She actually suggested that other causes were possible. But there is this sense that she was trying to explain her actions in a way that mere mortals could understand. Lori started by establishing her connection to religion by quoting the Bible. The quotes she selected were used to imply that the court had no authority over her. Only God does. Lori then established her superiority. Without saying that she was a deity, she mentioned how she traveled to heaven and talked to Jesus. Lori could have just stayed in heaven at that point. She was happy there. But she came down because she made pre-birth promises, and her mission was critical. That places Lori in a pretty authoritative position over people who haven't talked to Jesus and who are not destined for greatness. It was like Lori was a member of a special club. Everybody in the courtroom should have been honored to be in her presence and to hear her amazing story. Lori continued by calling defense witnesses from beyond the grave. She had already established that she was qualified to do this. She communicated with the dead pretty regularly. They were always stopping by for a chat. When Lori had these conversations with her murder victims, they told her that everything was good. No hard feelings, not even about the murder part. All 3 of her murder victims exonerated her. Lori did not feel sorry for her murder victims. She would actually like to be in the same position that they are in. They are better off than her or anyone on earth. They are happy in heaven. They are busy. Her son is very, very tall. Her daughter suffered horribly on earth, but now she doesn't suffer at all in heaven. As I mentioned, despite Lori's failure to confess, one could look at her speech as a way of explaining her actions. One theory regarding Lori's motive is that she murdered her children because she thought they were zombies. Her children were possessed by demons and were beyond any help. They were not even really her children anymore. I think that what Lori might have been communicating is that she fulfilled her mission from God. She killed the zombies and freed her children from pain. She didn't kill her children, rather she saved them. Going to prison for life is not something that Lori wants to do, but it doesn't matter. It's just a place that she's going to be for a while before she makes a journey to heaven and is reunited with the people that she murdered. This mortal life is just an inconvenience for Lori. She never stated that she was a victim. There was no mention of a conspiracy. Lori is not accusing the police of framing her. It's almost like she was suggesting that her arrest and conviction were all part of the master plan. Lori is a deity, and she has no intention of resigning. What non-deities do to her is irrelevant. She will continue to be a deity, even in prison. She refused to beg for mercy because in her mind, she is a hero who is without blame. Now moving to my final thoughts. One of the most amazing elements of the Lori Vallow case is how she appears to be both delusional and highly organized. The content of her delusions contributes to her attempting to escape responsibility. It's clear that Lori knew the difference between right and wrong. It was important to her that she avoided consequences due to her greatness. In her mind, her special mission was all that mattered. Most people suffering from delusions would not kill family members, or anyone for that matter, but the content of Lori's delusions sidestepped those safety mechanisms by suggesting that Lori's children were actually zombies. This alleviated her conscience and allowed her to kill without guilt or shame. In her mind, she actually needed to kill in order to accomplish her goal. I believe that Lori Vallow received the right sentence for her crimes. Believing oneself to be special does not give a person the right to commit murder. Lori should have chosen to be a non-homicidal, immortal deity. Those are my thoughts on the speech that Lori Vallow made at her sentencing. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.